All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, August 23rd. We got a 14-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays. If that does interest you, what I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Now, you might notice we are traveling, we are on the road, but we got a little bit extra time here. We are recording the night before, so we're going to give this a whirl and do a rare full game slate breakdown while traveling. A 14-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Drop a like on the video for that. I know we get the comments being like the hybrid videos, the away videos. You got a full one today. We will probably not have as many graphics or anything like that, but nonetheless, each and every game we're jumping into while traveling there. Take that, guppies. But let's go ahead and dive into a recap from technically tonight, but yesterday at the time of you guys watching this. We still have a few things pending. The Astros they already have won, so looking like a pretty good night. William Contreras probably going to burn us 2 days in a row, and then we have the Brewers still playing as of right now. They're up 4-3 in the bottom of the eighth, so hopefully we can have a nice, what would that be, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 3 day. We take that. Hopefully that is a dub. The ride of the day also comes through. We don't have the soundboard to drop the cha-ching or any crowd noise, but Mikey with another parlay cash. This one was the same game parlay at the Guards and the Rangers. Nerfy, that comes through. And then in that same game, Evaldi over 4.5 strikeouts. He doubled that. So shout out to Mikey here. Mikey, get that ride of the day ready today because you are on fire. 2 parlays in a row now cashed. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's very simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays, and you go on a little bit of a streak here. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this slate. Like I said, guys, maybe a little bit less, zhuzh or polish around the edges because we are traveling, but nonetheless, we are going to be going through this whole slate. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I don't know if this angle is good or bad for more chins, more wins, but we got a couple of them there. Let's go ahead and dive into game number one. We got the Yankees taking on the Red Sox. I'm a happy camper right now, all right? The Red Sox now have taken 2 straight wins against this Yankee squad. This game a little different, the one tonight, yesterday's, than the one prior to. This is a 1-0 win for the Sox here. Today we have Garrett Crochet on the bump, which is obviously, I'd say, a advantage to the Sox. Going up against Will Warren, this Yankee squad does hit the fastball and cutter very, very well. That is what Garrett Crochet throws, but ultimately, for the price we're getting, you're not going to get Crochet very often at this number. I'll lean towards the Red Sox, but I'll also give Will Warren a little bit of credit here. He's really good against righties. There are a couple of righties in this lineup. The lefties, maybe Roman Anthony, Duran, some of these guys might get to him, but decent amount of righties in this lineup, or at least in the projected lineup for tomorrow. I think that he can pitch fairly well, and he is at home, so I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. I also think that kind of tracks, obviously, with Crochet on the bump for the Red Sox. Feels kind of silly to be looking at any sort of an over, even though the Yankees offense is good, Red Sox offense is good. 1-0 game in the last game. Sure, maybe they're bottlenecked, but 8.5 seems a little bit too high. So Red Sox and the under for me in this one, and then no real player props as of right now. Next up, Miami taking on Toronto. We had the over in this one, and we had over 7.5, right? Finished as 5-2, and I was sitting there thinking about taking just Toronto either on the money line or the team total over. Both of those would have looked good, but nonetheless, we live to fight another day. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Jays, going up against Jansen Junk. Jansen Junk has kind of confused me at times, but I think he's found his lane. He's going to give you around 5 innings pitched of 3 earned, which isn't all that terrible. I do kind of fear, going up against Toronto in this spot. I don't think it's the best spot for him, especially because he throws a ton of sliders. This is a team that's smacking the slider right now. They've come back down to earth against the fastball, which is his second pitch, but nonetheless, I still think that Toronto's probably the side here. So just like I did yesterday, I don't mind the idea of Toronto, their team total over, but also a slight peek at the over in and of itself. We're going to see a lot of sinkers out of Jose Barrios. That's one of his best pitches and most used pitches, and this is actually the best pitch Miami has seen over the last 30 days. They're 5th in terms of runs above average, so I don't mind this spot there. I also have a couple player props. Most likely these overs and hits, runs, and RBIs. Springer, Vladdy Jr., and then Jacob Marseille. All three of those guys, in terms of pitch mix ratings, we have Springer, decent, and again, it's against the slider and fastball. He hits those well. Same thing you could say about Vladdy. And then Jacob Marseille is going to see a lot of sinkers, like I mentioned, hits that well, but then the curve, the change, the fastball, he hits all of those well as well, which is also kind of why I like the over in this spot too. A couple of the bigger bats here in this game have good spots, but also not minding. I feel like I've said also a million times, but also 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for all three of those guys. Yeah, you're not going to catch me denying that one. I think that could be a decent look as well. All right, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Novig. You've heard plenty and seen plenty of them on the channel here. If you're unaware of what it is a sportsbook peer-to-peer exchange where you're going up against Joe Schmoes like you or me, setting lines and the odds there. So you do not have to pay the tax or the VIG using that sportsbook, even though it's operating just like one. It's a peer-to-peer exchange. You're getting way better lines, way better odds on the daily. Go ahead and check it out. You're also going to get some bonus cash when depositing today. So use that link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. You are seriously missing out if you have not checked it out. I truly believe that these peer-to-peer exchanges are going to be the future. So check out Novig today. Use code GuyBoston or just use the link. It's going to auto apply all of the bonuses and everything like that when signing up today. That'll be in the description as well as the pinned comment, whichever one is easiest for you. Now let's jump back into these games. All right, next up, Phillies taking on the Nats. Aaron Nola actually getting the start here for the Phillies, going up against Mitchell Parker. I chuckle when I say it because this couldn't be more of a Phillies spot for me, but I don't think that they're actually, with Nola on the bump, worth a 230 price tag right now, and that total all the way up at 9.5. But Washington won their last game, right? We were on the Phillies there. Savale goes, Cavale, whatever his name is, goes, Cavalli? I'm getting mixed up with Aaron Savali now. Cade Cavalli goes 6 innings pitched. That was a 5-4 win for Washington. So now the Phillies are angry. They're going to bounce back. They're at home. They're going up against Mitchell Parker, who legitimately lets up 4 runs when he has his breakfast in the morning. The cereal. He eats a Cheerio and a run comes in. So we can't back Mitchell Parker. This Philly squad obviously very, very good offensively. Up against lefties lately, maybe not so much. Again, that's kind of the reason we don't like that minus 228 price tag, but hell, that's all it would be for me. Phillies, their team total over, an absolute fade of both the bullpen and Mitchell Parker. We had pretty much all the high leverage arms go tonight or yesterday in that bullpen, and it's already one of the worst bullpens, if not the worst bullpen in the league. So this would be a Phillies spot for me altogether, but I don't know if we can really get there with anything. One spot I could see is maybe taking a peek at Schwarber. He hits the fastball really well, as we know. Mitchell Parker throws a ton of fastballs. He's going to go to the curveball too. Schwarber pretty good against that. And throw in the fact that Mitchell Parker's numbers against lefties are horrific. 1.72 whip on the season, a FIP of 5.35, average against of 282, a strikeout rate of 14%, and a walk rate of 12%. Schwarber could have a day, so maybe that's a pivot to get to, but this is all Phillies all the way for me. I just don't know if it's really worth the minus 1.5 or the team total over as high as those numbers are going to be. At some point, Mitchell Parker will pitch okay. I'd hate to see it today, but it is what it is right now. Maybe Schwarber is the kind of the pivot here. All right, Detroit taking on Kansas City. That's 2 wins now in a row for Detroit, I believe, if I'm not... what is it, 4 wins in a row, actually? They took the last 2 against Houston and then take this one against Kansas City. So at least 3 wins for Detroit. They're 8-2 in their last 10, I believe 9-2 in their last 11. Today we have Chris Paddock on the mound for them going up against Michael Wacha. Paddock's coming off of a real bad start. 5 2/3, 9 hits, 3 home runs, 3 walks, in an 8 earned outing. Michael Wacha has been kind of the definition of consistency here. He's pitching like 6 innings, 2 earned, been pitching really, really well. I do think for the price tag, this is going to be a spot in which we consider the Royals. I expect them to bounce back. Their offense, I do like right now, even though we've seen, obviously, the Tigers win a lot of games, but I think Wacha should be good to go. If he throws his fastball and changeup combo, should work. He also has the cutter to go to. The sinker and slider are the 2 pitches that Detroit's really, really hitting right now. Not necessarily even from righties, but he's only going to throw the sinker 9% of the time and the slider 11% of the time. So only 1/5 this dude's pitch mix is going to come down to those two pitches that they're hitting very, very well. He doesn't have the best of numbers against this Detroit squad in his career. When I say the Detroit squad, I mean the actual lineup itself, but 160 plate appearances against. He has a big, big number there for his sample size. 18.1% K rate, okay, but an 8% walk rate, meh. Average against of 253, okay. Average against expected at 280, a WOBA of 315, expected WOBA 350. So there are some, I don't want to say alarms going off there because they're really not bad numbers. They're just more so mediocre. But still, if he's going to give you 6 innings of even 2 or 3 earned, I think we're going to see, a spot in which Kansas City should be able to be all right at the very least. So give me Kansas City in this spot. Maybe peek at their team total over as well. It looks like we have a plus 9% run index at Comerica Park tomorrow. I didn't really talk too much about Chris Paddock other than his bad start, but he doesn't have the best numbers against this Kansas City squad either in the past. So yeah, decent spot to look for Kansas City as long as we can get them at a decent price. I don't want to pay anything beyond minus 130 because Walker, as much as he's been good, I wouldn't be surprised if he all of a sudden is due for some regression. You know what I mean? All right, next up, Pittsburgh taking on Colorado. I did say for yesterday's game, I was like, it'd be Colorado or nothing for me. They got beaten 9-0. Luckily, if you watch that and have half a brain, you realize it was mostly because Pittsburgh shouldn't be minus 200 to anyone. But I guess if they're gonna be, it's when Colorado was in Pittsburgh. They made that look like it was clockwork, I guess. Today we have Kyle Freeland on the bump. He's going up against Mike Burrows. I do think both these guys can actually hang with the offenses, and I've been pretty, I guess, complimentary to Kyle Freeland this year and in the past as well. He's been a guy that obviously kind of has got the raw end of the stick of people thinking that he stinks just because he does pitching cores. I'm not saying he's all that great, but I do think he's a lot better than what we've seen kind of out of him, right? This guy, if I'm not mistaken, was in Cy Young talks at one point in his career, unless I'm completely thinking of someone else, which I'm stupid, so very much could be, but I think it was him. Mike Burrows honestly has been kind of decent, right? So why would we look at both of these squads, the Astros lineup, excuse me, the Rockies lineup and the Pirates lineup, and say, okay, either one of them are going to hit these guys? A lot of fastballs and changeups out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's Mike Burrows. Colorado, middle of the pack at best against those pitches. A lot of fastballs. You have the knuckle curve as well as the cutter out of Kyle Freeland, and he's a lefty. Pittsburgh can't hit lefties lately, and those pitches. So I think my first look here would probably be the under 8.5. Looks like we're also going to have some rain in Pittsburgh as well. So if that is the case, then we should be good to go here. Trusting both these pitchers. Yes, the bullpen's kind of scare the living hell out of me, but still the offenses I think are by far and away the worst things in this game. Throw in the fact that Pittsburgh just scored 9 runs. Give me like a 4-3 game tomorrow. I would still say Colorado in terms of value for the plus money, but I don't think I'm going to be putting my hard-earned bread on Colorado. The under actually is something that I'm considering. Call me crazy. Actually, one more. Checking out Isaiah Kinner-Falefa. His under, if we can get it at 1.5 for juice or in some sort of a parlay with maybe an extended up under alternate line, I like that as well. He doesn't hit lefties all that well, just a 529 OPS. And then those pitches that I mentioned from Kyle Freeland, he also matches up really, really poorly against. 2.6 in terms of a pitch mix rating that we have on our end for him today. So, yeah, could be a look for some sort of a parlay where we bump that total up. Love the idea of that. And maybe take an alternate under for him. We'll see. And guys, I know there's a lot of we'll see or we'll see what we do, that type of thing. Again, rare instance of us doing a full game slate breakdown when traveling. We usually don't have as much time to dedicate towards the videos and the research like that. So do apologize for that, but hopefully you guys do appreciate the fact that we have the entire slate to go through, even though we are traveling for the weekend. So yes, keep an eye on the pinned comment, any updates, anything like that. We have that post to the Guy Boston Sports site there. That kind of will be the Bible in a sense of knowing if there's any updates or any plays that we lock in, anything like that. So recognize and hand up, there's a lot of like, we'll see what we do. Recording the night before, trying to fit this in, trying to provide the information to you guys. Just don't want to say anything that's too crazy or act like it's too confident when I'm still not, at a maximum 10 confidence type level. So yeah, by the way, comment 13 or comment 14, I guess, either or, if you made it this far in the video, helps me out and lets me know that you guys heard that little rant and made it this far. But let's keep the train moving, shall we? We got Spencer Spaghetti Arrietti on the mound for Houston, going up against Dean Kramer here for Baltimore. I liked Houston these last two nights, and it has paid off. Don't know if I want to trust Spencer Arrietty. I'm probably going to say Baltimore wins this one and at least snags one here after the first two games. That being said, I don't know how much I fully trust them against the pitch mix that we'll see out of Spaghetti here. He's going to throw a lot of cutters, curveballs. The fastball could be something they hit. I've been saying that in these videos recently. They hit the fastball pretty well, but a lot of those names at the top, don't necessarily hit the fastball well. So maybe this is a spot in which we just say, trust Baltimore because maybe they'll steal one, but not necessarily think they're going to score a lot of runs. Give me Baltimore as well as the under. Houston's bullpen, hoping that they are good to go too, because that would at least kind of suppress the back end of this game. Because Baltimore's bullpen does give me a little bit of pause. So maybe if it's even a pivot to Baltimore's first five money line and then full game money line, I do still think that Spencer Spaghetti is somewhat worth fading. I don't mind the idea, I guess, of him at plus money because I think this Houston team's so much better. But we'll see how we there it is. We'll see what turns out there. I have seen a couple sites saying that we had Christian Javier on the mound. If Christian Javier is the pitcher, I'm probably switching everything I said and backing Houston. Okay, so it's going to come down to who actually is on the mound for this Houston team. If it's Christian Javier, great. If it's Spencer Spaghetti, no bueno. All right, so give me Baltimore if it's Spaghetti. Arrietty, by the way. If it is Christian Javier, give me Houston, but I don't mind the under in either case. All right, our biggest position, technically tonight or last night, was this Texas and Cleveland game. We had the first three under, we had the first five under, and then we kind of doubled down in the first five under when we could get it at a bigger number, and that thing came through. So if we had the soundboard, I'd drop a big ching there because that definitely helped our night out. We have Texas and Cleveland. Today, Jack Leiter's on the bump going up against Logan Allen. Logan Allen's actually been a lot better than he was just a little while ago. Jack Leiter, you could say the same thing about. I think both these guys can pitch well again. I'm going to take a peek at a first five under yet again in this spot. Also, don't mind the first three under. I love the idea of Logan Allen coming in here and being able to pitch his, fastball, changeup, slider, cutter, whatever he throws for 3 innings and kind of going through this lineup the first time. I will mention Texas does hit lefties. Decently, I would say better for average. Texas is a team right now in which they hit righties better for power and then lefties better for average. So sure, you can make a case of which one's better for either, but to me, the average, sure, you can get guys on base and maybe get out of it. The first three I like a little bit more. If it was for power, then yeah, a guy could hit a 2-run shot and you're looking in a rough spot, right? Flip it over to Jack Leiter. He's going to throw fastball slider. Those pitches should be really, really good here against this Cleveland squad who, yeah, they're coming off the win today, but again, this was not a very high scoring game whatsoever, right? So I don't think either offense is, flying right now. This would be a probably a Cleveland spot though, just because it is plus money, I guess. If we did have to take a side, so I guess Cleveland, but I think the under, just like I did yesterday or technically tonight, because that's when we're recording. I think that could be a spot in which we consider low runs at the beginning of this game. Still don't mind the idea of a full game under. I think both these bullpens are good. I want to double check who ended up pitching tonight, but still, first three, first five could be really strong looks. And then just for the plus money, maybe a potential look at Cleveland. I think Logan Allen has been good enough to back recently, right? And Texas coming off the win, maybe Cleveland kind of gets their get back. All right, White Sox taking on the Twins. A spot that we considered and honestly almost did get down with was the over in yesterday's game, and honestly kind of wish we did, right? That game ends up being 9-7. But something in my brain was like, but these offenses aren't all that great. Are we really going to take an over 8.5? Should have, but we had a nice night anyways. Today it looks like we're going to have Davis Martin on the bump going up against Mick Abel. I think both these offenses probably come back down to earth a little bit. You have Mick Abel, who's been really good on the road this year. Yes, obviously it's a little bit different with being with Minnesota, I guess. But you have Davis Martin, who's also been a little bit better at home. So both them in decent spots. The fastball, I guess you could say, worries me about, the Chicago team hitting Abel, but then you go to the curve, then you go to the slider, all should be good. And we're going to get a lot of changeups, a lot of fastballs out of Davis Martin. I think that he can kind of hang in there. So flipping it right on its head, I kind of like that under 9 today. In terms of what Ballpark Pal has from a runs index perspective, plus 4%, but even still, their projection is just at 5-4. So yeah, to me, 9 being the highest number, sign me up for the under. Now, am I as confident in the under today as I was for the over yesterday? Not so much. It's not like the stars are aligning here, but still, I think this could be a decent spot. Now, in terms of the side, I would just follow whoever has plus money in this spot. I believe that is the White Sox at the time of recording now, but even if it does flip to the Twins, I think that could be a decent spot. They do have what I'd consider somewhat of a more consistent bullpen, but even after the trade deadline, I don't even know if that's worth saying. I do like the top of their order with Lorange, who came through for us yesterday. We also have Keyshaw and then Byron Buxton. I think that they could have decent games. So yes, I like the under, but some of the bigger bats in that lineup probably put Minnesota, I guess, over the top, but not enough to be favored by any means. So I think I'd still just follow whoever has the plus money in this game overall. Milwaukee, San Francisco. We got a little bit of an update. So, like we said with the with the pending plays that we have, right? Check this out. We have the Brewers still pending and William Contreras. Well, guess what? 4-4, bottom of the ninth. William Contreras to the plate, walk off. So both of those cash. Looks like we're gonna have a really, really good night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 night with our 10 plays. That's a nice one. But let's get back to this slate. Let's get a W in the comments if you guys are watching this right now. William Contreras homered left field, 379 feet. Whew, gotta love that. Both those plays end up cashing. We do have two good pitchers on the mound for today's game, though. That's going to be tough for me to get my mind off of just because we're recording right now, just got to this game, and it just happened. Talk about stars aligning, right? We already mentioned that. But we got Freddie Peralta going up against Logan Webb, what you guys say is my doppelganger. In this matchup, I do think that we have two obviously very good pitchers, but I still kind of fear the Brewers' offense ultimately, and I think that that's an offense that we should probably fear for the rest of the season. So to me, this is going to be a Brewers spot. I think the fact that we have Freddie P on the mound should be good to go. I don't really believe or trust in this San Francisco team's offense. The one thing I'll say, and we mentioned it yesterday, they do hit the fastball well. And if you know anything about Freddie Peralta, that's his main pitch, right? Fastball Freddie. So that scares me a little bit, but I still think that based on where this total is and everything like that, that we have an upper hand in terms of the offense at the very least. So give me Milwaukee, give me their team total over. I would almost say, a first three under would be how I play the total because I could easily see Peralta going kind of 1, 2, 3 through the first inning. Same thing with Logan Webb, who we haven't even talked too much about, but obviously a very, very good pitcher. So I could see that. But then at some point, Milwaukee kind of opening it up, which I don't really love the idea of taking under 7.5 with the way that their offense has been playing lately. So to me, this is a Milwaukee spot. Maybe their team total their team total over. But if you're looking for an under and a way to trust these two pitchers, it's probably the smaller amount of innings, the better. Hell, maybe you can look at a Nerfy if that's your cup of tea. I've definitely preferred first threes this year over Nerfies, but nonetheless, I think the more you shrink the innings, the better off you are with these two pitchers on the bump. So Milwaukee, first three under, but weirdly enough, Milwaukee team total over also. And damn, I can't believe that that game ended like that. That's the beauty of recording these the night before, because I kind of have like a in the moment reaction to that. That is awesome. That just puts a cherry on top of a very, very, very good day. Atlanta taking on the Mets. Cal Quantrill on the bump here, going up with Clay Holmes. I kind of like the Mets in this spot. I wish we were getting potentially better odds here, but not all that terrible. The Mets, we had their team total over yesterday. That one was pretty easy. I feel stupid for paying the juice for that 3.5. They scored 12 runs. But Clay Holmes, I trust. He's up 2.2 ERA over his last 5 starts here. The last time he pitched against this Brave squad wasn't all that great, but prior to that, he has a couple good starts against them. FYI, they just saw him, I think it was like a week and a half ago. 3 2/3, 5 earned, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, not all that great, right? That being said, he still has a decent pitch mix against this squad. The sinker, not all that great. The slider, not all that great in terms of Atlanta hitting it, right? Flip it over to Cal Quantrill, who's going to throw a ton of fastballs, cutters, as well as the splitter. The fastball and cutter are two pitches that this Mets team could hit well. And I do think, if all things are in a vacuum, this Mets offense is way better. I know they've had their struggles recently, but nonetheless, if we can get a good price behind them, which as of right now, let me get an updated odds in terms of what we're looking at for the Mets. Still a little, like I was looking to hopefully get them a little closer to even. Yeah, minus 125. Little pricey right now, especially because the Rays are playing good baseball, but it has to be the direction that I lean in. Maybe a Braves team total under. I'm putting a lot of trust in Clay Holmes, but I do think his last time against them was more of the anomaly than what we should normally see of him pitching against his Brave squad. Arizona, Cincinnati. Nabil Crismatt is pitching for Arizona. He only has the one start on the season. Honestly, pretty good. 5 innings pitched, 62 pitches, I believe 3 hits, 1 earned. But it was against the Rockies. Now, it was in Coors. Maybe we can give him a little bit of credit for that. But nonetheless, do we really want to fully put our trust in him? Not all that sure. We also have Andrew Abbott on the other side of things. So I think for this one, it is going to be a spot in which I do like the Reds. Kind of like their team total over as well. In terms of what we have from a run index here, plus nearly 10% run index via Ballpark Pal, I think that this Reds team can kind of give Andrew Abbott some run support. They haven't necessarily had the most consistent offense, and they're coming off of their last game. I believe it was against the well, actually, they're still actually playing right now. But the last game that we have from their date of scoring, they had a really low scoring game. I believe it was against the, let's see, the Angels? Yes, correct. The Angels. So we'll see what they ultimately do tonight at the time of recording, right? I believe, let's see, we have that up in front of us. Yes, 2 runs right now, bottom of the fifth. Doesn't look like it's the highest of scoring games from them either. At some point, I do expect them to kind of get back to scoring some runs. Because if we look at their last 10, they do exactly what we think they do, right? They'll go 8, 8, 8, 5, 3, 4, 3. 8, 5, 8. Like this team, we've said all year long, the Cincinnati roller coasters. We haven't said that all year long, but kind of like the sound of it. But they are like a roller coaster of an offense, right? So to me, against a pitcher that's only had 1 start under his belt this year, he's no young chicken out here. He's pitched plenty over he's been pitching since 2020. Never really starts though. I think only 2 starts in his career. But either way, he's no spring chicken. I think that the Reds can probably get to him. He's not like some young phenom or anything. So long way around it. Reds and their team total over would be what I'm looking at. I believe we had a player prop that we like. Yes, Miguel Andujar, a guy that I really do like in terms of a pitch mix, and then Noel V. Marte, another one that we could be looking at here. So keep an eye on the pinned comment in the final place for that. Padres taking on the Dodgers, another game that's going right now, middle of the seventh, 2-1 at the time of recording. Today, at the time of you guys watching this, we'll see Nestor Cortez against Tyler Glasnow. I'd say that it's going to be tough for me to, and obviously bullpen dependent in terms of what we see tonight, but it's going to be tough for me to really make a case for Cortez against this Dodgers offense. Now, Cortez has looked pretty damn good since becoming a Padre, and they didn't look all that terrible, briefly before that either, right? So, sure, if you like the idea of, San Diego at plus money, I don't necessarily hate it. I'm not going to try and talk you off of it. That being said, I do think that this Dodgers team can hit him fairly well. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. We're going to see a lot of fastballs, a lot of cutters. If he hangs those, it's going to be game over for Water. If you know that ad, shout out to you guys. But this is a team that, against lefties, 4th in the last 30 days in average, 9th in slugging, 6th in OPS, 6th in on-base percentage, walking the 7th most amount of times. He's had a really, really, really tough time not walking batters this year. So, to me, this is a spot in terms of Dodgers being able to put up a decent number and have some crooked number innings. So, yes, obviously, game that's happening right now dependent, but I like the Dodgers and their team total over tomorrow. Backing Glasnow and backing an offense that probably will step it up as the season kind of comes to an end, or at least it's as it gets later and later in the year here. I trust this Dodgers offense to get a little bit better. Angels, Cubs, another game. By the way, the next few games are still going on at the time of recording, but right now Cubs are up 2-1. We liked the under in this game, and we did not have any chance, I feel like, of actually rolling with it. I will admit that. But we liked the idea of the pitching. Tyler Anderson, it ended up being Javier Assad, which I didn't mind that either. Now, in terms of this matchup, we'll get Cade Horton against Victor Medeiros. I would say this is probably a spot in which we consider the Cubs team total over. I'm not sure what their odds are going to be when these lines drop, but if the Cubs are inside -150 after not having the best offensive night, I have no problem with that. Medeiros is going to throw a ton of sinkers and sliders. Just so happens that this is a team that's really good at hitting the slider right now, and the top of the order is really good at hitting the slider. Horner, Tucker, Suzuki, Kelly, Armstrong, like this is a spot in which if you throw a slider, I guess, his best, and I should say this, if you throw a slider and you're a righty, I wouldn't want to be you against the Cubs lineup, because even though they've been up and down, that seems to be the only spot in which they're actually succeeding. So Cubs and their team total over tomorrow could be a potential play. We'll see what happens with the bullpen, at the time of recording tonight, but to me, I still think if you can get them inside -150, probably all Cubs for me all the way. All right, last but not least, we got Seattle taking on the Athletics. George Kirby, Jeffrey Springs. I almost want to say decent pitching matchup just in terms of, the pitch mix and whatnot. Change up slider from Springs, especially on the road against righties, which there'll be a few righties in this Mariners lineup. Should be pretty good. And we know George Kirby's obviously going to be good. Now, this Athletics lineup has been very, very good lately. I don't know if we want to say it's when they're when they're at home and all that, sure, but to me they have been very good. But to be able to get maybe Mariners -1 in a spot like this when they have a bullpen advantage, a starting pitching advantage, and then if the Athletics are starting to cool down, an offensive advantage too in terms of names in the lineup, so probably Mariners -1 for me. I don't think you're gonna be able to get a good price on them on the money line. If you can, then I'd say one seems trappy. Still might fall into that trap like the Bears and Goldilocks. But two might be a little fishy, right, in terms of why that number is there. But nonetheless, it's going to be Seattle for me. I don't mind them, playing well. I don't think it's enough for me to say this is going to be like a hammer the over spot. You're playing in Seattle. Obviously, that's a nice pitcher spot. And I already kind of gave Jeffrey Springs his flowers a little bit, right? So to me, maybe this is a spot for Seattle and an under, or even starting to fade the Athletics. That at some point, I do believe they will come back down to earth. Maybe their team total under could be a look here. Lawrence Butler is another name that I have here in terms of player props. Doesn't hit the slider or splitter well, or excuse me, slider or sinker well. Also doesn't hit the fastball well. We didn't really talk about Kirby and how much he throws that. Those are three pitches that he really struggles against. So an under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs could be in play for him. My problem with him is we've taken him a couple times and he's so damn fast. Sometimes he turns like a run into a run when he's on like first base or something, a rip down the line that most guys wouldn't have scored on. But hey, it is what it is, right? But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Go ahead and give me a like. Let me know in the comments. I want the feedback. How was the road video in terms of, going through the entire slate? Obviously, it's a tall task, but I want to do it. This is what I tell you guys I want to grind to do. We don't have as many graphics or the picks popping up underneath me or anything like that, but I feel like at least we were able to talk about every single game, which is what I absolutely love. So really do appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.